We're talking about reselling a timeshare this morning, and there are a few things you need to look out for. Of course, our friend Aaron Deffner from the BBB is here, and the Better Business Bureau has received, nearly 3,000 complaints about this in the past.
You're right.
Is this kind of timely right now that we're headed into, we had spring break, now we're headed into the summer vacations season?
Well, it's interesting because timeshare scams is really one of those type of scams that has, it goes up and down. It has its hills and valleys. And so it seems like in the last year or so, there's a lot more reports of being scammed. And the difference here is that there are two really victims. There's the buyers as well as the sellers.
Okay, tell us how.
So that's something different. Well, there are really two different scams. Number one, that if somebody has contacted a timeshare reseller, for example, number one, they may not know if they're just advertising the timeshare or they're actually going to help them find a buyer and actually carry them through with the transition. And what the sellers are reporting is that they find somebody that offers to sell it for them, and really they're wiring money, they're giving all kinds of closing costs, and the buyer really doesn't exist. Same for the buyer, is that they may be actually buying a timeshare that doesn't actually exist, and unfortunately they've already sent closing costs, those kinds of monies, and then of course the companies disappear.
Well, and that's a nightmare.
It is
and
a
those
nightmare.
Timeshares will be across the country or maybe even in another country.
Well, you're right. Excuse me. And especially for some of those international timeshares, it is kind of difficult because of different currencies and things, so you might feel like it's more natural to go ahead and wire the money, but the answer is absolutely not.
Okay. So that's your first tip, right?
That's your first tip. Never ever wire money, especially internationally, because you absolutely cannot trace it.
Do we need to just avoid timeshares, or do you think we can do this in an ethical and fair way?
Well, I think that for folks that are looking to either buy or sell their timeshare, especially for those folks that are going to buy, they really need to do what we call a cost analysis to see if, based on their travel plans, based on their vacation schedules, if it will even make sense for them to engage in these, because these are 10, 15, 20-year investments, and you're really committing. Once you sign on that dotted line, that timeshare is yours. So you just need to be sure that you're using it and you're going to use it, and that you've read all the fine print, all the contracts, to make sure it's going to work for you.
Yeah, beware of those upfront fees.
Right. Anybody who offers to sell or buy for you and they're asking for some kind of large upfront fees, the answer is absolutely not. Those monies should really be paid during the transaction, and you really should be using an escrow account. So when you get your money for the timeshare, or you have that title to the timeshare, that's when you should be releasing those funds to the seller.
Yeah, that's the protection there, right?
Absolutely.
So that FBI has even gotten involved here.
You're right.
And tell us why they were even called in.
Well, the FBI is really going to take advantage of situations where there's a large scale, and a lot of it is because some of it is international. And so there are only certain kinds of law enforcement agencies that can get involved in international scams. So that's why really the FBI is really coming in. And there's another part too that a lot of folks don't know. For any kind of international transactions, there's a website. It's called econsumer.gov, where really the American law enforcement agencies are partnering up with international agencies, and this is likely where a lot of this information is coming from and why they're getting involved, because they are getting those international complaints.
And in order to trust these companies or whoever you're buying or even selling to, check licenses, get everything in writing, read that fine print that you were saying.
Right.
If it sounds too good to be true,
it probably is. Absolutely. And, because of this econsumer.gov and the FBI, a lot of these buyers may be from other countries, which is okay. You just need to really do your extra work, do all of your homework, and even feel free to pick up the phone, spend a couple of bucks, and talk to that buyer just to be sure they actually exist.
Head to myfoxaustin.com with additional information. Aaron always has great expertise when it comes to any type of consumer issues, so send us your ideas and more information on our website.